Okay, today you're going to be finishing the Aquifer lab that you started the other day. First, someone needs to go out the door of the classroom, get your Aquifer, and bring it back to the lab table. After you do that, you'll set the Aquifer down in the middle of your lab table. Then you need to look on your lab sheet and make sure that you have finished all the way through step 14. So you should have a detailed illustration here. This question should be answered. This question should be answered. You should have 3 observations here, 3 observations here. Once you've checked all of that, you're going to move over to the second day, number 15. Place your Aquifer on your lab table and observe it carefully. Okay, we're going to come down here and observe our Aquifer. Right down here, look down at the Aquifer. Right down here, you're going to see that you can definitely see the water in between the cracks of the rocks. And what you're looking for is now down here in the sand, you have a discoloration, meaning the sand now has a green tint to it because this green water has infiltrated down into the sand. Okay? So, you're going to observe very carefully. Then, come over here. You're going to come right here to your day 2 observation and again draw a detailed illustration of the Aquifer here. Remember, detailed means picture, color, labels. So make sure you draw, color, and label your picture here. Once that is finished, you're going to move over with your group to your conclusion questions. The conclusion questions, there are 3 of them, and if you notice at the top, it says complete sentences. Complete sentences. Zoom back out. The first one says, compare the illustration you drew the first day to how your Aquifer looks now. How is your Aquifer the same, and how is it different? So on these lines, you're going to explain how the Aquifer looks the same it did before you put it on the table and how it looks different from when you put it on the table. Okay? Moving down to this question, in this model, what did the food coloring represent? You're going to say, write down what the food coloring was in this lab. What did it represent? And finally, the last question, which needs the most sentences, describe in your own words how pollution can contaminate both a watershed and an aquifer. Use at least 4 complete sentences to get full credit on this question. Now remember, a watershed is above ground, an aquifer is below ground. So when you answer your conclusion question, you're going to have to explain how the pollution goes from above the ground on the watershed to below the ground into the aquifer. Once you finish doing your conclusion questions, remember the RR needs to put everybody's papers together, paper clip your group sheet on top, turn it into the basket, and put your Aquifer back on the table outside and move on to the next assignment.